All right. Hello, everybody. As Kirsi already mentioned, my name is Antti Norkela. I come from the Finnish Competition and the Consumer Authority. I've been with the authority for over 20 years. Here's the name in Finnish. I've been with the authority for a very long time, and I used to be the head of our cartel detection. These days, I'm putting my efforts in deterring cartels and raising awareness of cartel risks, especially in public procurement. And this is the angle that I'm aiming from to this day's presentation and this seminar here. And by the way, thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. So I'll talk a bit about screening procurement data in our efforts to detect cartels from the Finnish economy and especially public procurement. So this is the angle. When Kirsi first asked me to join here and come and give a presentation, I was asking for what would be the interesting angle or perspective for the listeners and participants of this seminar. And we thought that, okay, this would be it, because this is an actual method that we have pretty recently developed, and that is aimed especially at detecting cartel infringements, which, just like corruption, are infringements and activities that those who participate them try to hide as well as possible. And this is, of course, the major challenge for any competition authority to actually find those bid rigging cartels and cartels in general in order to prosecute them and take them to the court, and thus create the preventive effect that is needed to deter this very, very harmful activity. Just a short note on cartels, so that we speak of same phenomenon and on same terms. We are talking here cartels in competition terms, not narcotics. And a cartel, it's an illegal arrangement between competitors aimed at manipulating the competitive process. The aim is, well, to put it bluntly, the aim is to make more money. The aim is to make more profits from your business than would be possible in the situation when you as a company would be really actually competing against your competitors, trying to give the best prices and maintain the best quality of service or products to get customers through a fair process. So the cartels are aimed against the process, and they are aimed thus against the customers. And the reason why we are so very concerned about these cartels and as a phenomenon is that they are so harmful. It's an ancient phenomenon. It's a universal phenomenon. I think that as long as there's been markets for anything, there's been cartels. So this is probably something that you already know and understand about cartels. But the thing that is probably not so widely known is how harmful they are. There's, of course, tons of academic research done on cartels, and based on research, we can tell that the direct harm originating from cartel activities, that's somewhere between 20 to 30% or even more in excess prices, which is then, of course, the damage that directly comes to the customer, the buyer, be it then a private purchaser or a public purchaser. There are, of course, other negative aspects to cartels as well, because in the long run, they create inefficiency. There's like slack in production at the companies, because once the competitive pressure vanishes, you don't have to try so hard. So one major reward from cartels is, of course, also an easy life for the companies and for the management of the companies. So, but this is why we concentrate our. This is one of the key areas and issues for any competition authority, I'd say, and of course, so it is here in Finland as well. There's a common ground to corruption and cartels, and unfortunately, that is public procurement. And when it comes to public procurement, there's a certain kind of cartels that is aimed at them, and it's called bid rigging. I'll be talking a bit more about bid rigging shortly, but basically the idea is that once a city or a public authority organizes a bidding contest, the potential suppliers, they come together and allocate among themselves who will win the contract, or who are those companies who will gain some part of this contract. And there are various ways of handling this. And this is what we try to tackle with our screening. And I'll come to the screening a bit later on. But first, a few words on public cartels and public procurement. There's an unfortunate ongoing link, so to say, between cartels and public procurement, because they're, first of all, and especially in Finland, as in many Nordic countries, the role of the public economy is significant. We do public procurement by something like 45 billion euros a year, and for an economy the size of Finland, that's a huge amount of money. So there's a lot of money on the table, and then of course that is one of the first elements why public procurement can be lucrative to cartels. But there are other aspects as well. Once the bidding contest is being organized, it's well informed beforehand. So if you're sharing a cake, so to say, among your competitors, it's always easier the more information you have beforehand about what is coming up. So it's easier to slice and dice between your colleagues in the cartel. And also because there's added transparency related to public procurement, this also enables a control in hindsight. So the cartel members can easily see who has won which contract and at which price. So all these features, they unfortunately help the cartel to maintain its activities. Because in a cartel, there's always an incentive for one single member, to deceive its co-members. And it can make bigger profits in the short run, at least. So control is there actually readily for the cartel members when it comes to public procurement. So, and of course, this is a bad thing in the sense that this added transparency, it tries to exactly tackle corruption. It tries to tackle nepotism, clientelism, all these phenomena that we are actually then more talking here about today. But when it comes to cartels, it unfortunately has a certain downside to it, this added transparency. But well, that is something that we obviously have to just live with. This is my personal perception of the thing. But well, yeah. I probably already said this, but yes, when it comes to actually finding cartels, detecting cartels, the main challenge is always finding enough evidence to take the case to court. But in the first place, you of course have to locate the cartels. So if we take a step back from there, we as an authority, we have the responsibility covering all of the Finnish economy, all its various markets and actors in the markets. So where are these cartels? Where are the spots where we should focus? Traditionally, we have been relying very much on, well, actually it should be tip-offs and not tips. Sorry about that. I'll fix it for the slides later on. We'll be relying very much on tip-offs. We receive hundreds of tip-offs a year. Only a fraction of those actually lead to any actual investigations. They are too general, too blunt, too hazy in nature, and so on. But we do follow those, and they are very important. We survey the media all the time. We try and keep up, what's happening in various markets. But then again, in my own experience and our experience, public buyers, they are a major source of credible tip-offs when it comes to cartels. And once again, we are at the playing field of public procurement here. So, and as this is taxpayers' money, as this is public money, we as an authority have thought that, okay, this is one of our top priorities anyhow. And this is, and in connection to the fact that how much money Finland spends on public procurement, we have then decided, we decided a couple of years back that we will try and develop more effective ways of tackling cartels and detecting cartels in public procurement. And this leads me to my actual point, which is screening. In short, screening means searching for cartels in large data sets using statistical and economic methods. And we at the FCCA, my colleague Aapo Autio is here present in the audience. He has played a crucial role in developing these screens and this activity. But we use a set of various screens. You cannot only use one tool, so to say, because a cartel can be arranged or organized in many different ways. So if you look at procurement data from a certain market, you cannot run just one screen. You have to look at it from one angle, another angle, and try and find whether or not there's actually something there. So this is the idea behind screening. But in order to actually then get to the screening, you of course need the data. And this used to be a huge problem in Finland, and it's a major challenge in, I guess, most of the EU countries. But we then formed a project, and we started, to see and think what we can do about this. And well, a bit of luck here. There's actually one system that is being used here in Finland to actually do public procurement that covers these days 80% of public procurement that is being done in Finland. It's a system run by a private company. The public purchasers use the system, but it's very widely in use. And this is, of course, a good thing for us because as an authority, we had the possibility and the means to get the data from this company. And as you can see here, it's quite a big set of information that we have achieved. Only for the years 2017, 2022, the data contains about 44,000 competitions, which contain then again 190,000 bids. And actually the data is updated. So these days, Aapo, you can probably confirm, but I guess we have up till 2023 by now. So the numbers that you see here at the last bullet, they keep growing. So, which is of course good because to make any reasonable observations from data, you need quite a lot of it. Because if the data set is too narrow, it doesn't provide you with credible observations. So this was a big step, and this was a big success for us that we managed to get the data. So now we can actually run the screens. Then about the screening itself, and I thought that this would be an interesting point for this seminar and workshop, how to go about finding wrongdoing in your field, and what methods could be used. So as an example on that, we thought that this might be interesting. But about screening, you can categorize the tasks in two. There's systematic screening and monitoring of markets, which is something that you can do on your own initiative. But then, of course, this comes in handy also when we get a tip-off. So we can actually then, the tip-off gives us a lead where to look. And once we have enough data, then we can start running screens and see whether or not there's reason to believe that there is something there. Of course, this doesn't amount to a thing that you can take to the court. You can actually, you must, of course, then actually investigate the case. You must conduct your dawn raids. You must try and find witnesses and do all this traditional footwork that goes with cartel investigations in general. But back to screening, then a bit about the tools. There's a structural screening. There are the actional screens where we look for cartel indicators, and then there's anomalies in the data that if we find some anomalies in the data, they can be interesting, and they can be thresholds where we should stop and see whether or not we should be interested in this market or not. Then a bit more what is meant by those concepts on the previous slide. Structural screens, there we focus on market structure, market shares, their stability, like structural things. You can do comparison between various markets and try and figure out whether this kind of a constellation or phenomenon is normal or not. You can search for structures that can make collusion in the market easier. And the aim here is to provide background information for us for the actual screening. Then about screening, and this is again, maybe, I asked Aapo for an example, to bring up here, but there are, as I mentioned, there's a set of various screens, so to say, tools that we use. One of them is, for instance, the coefficient of variation of the given prices to a bidding contest. Here, if there are significant changes in the value of this coefficient, it may mean something, provide us with some meaningful information. For instance, if the coefficient suddenly drops, it could be a sign that the providers of these services or products have colluded. So if there's like a visible sudden change in their pricing behavior, that would be always interesting. And this is one way of looking for these kinds of actions and occurrences. But as I said, this is merely one of the screens that we are using. And there's quite a few more. And I've already asked Aapo that if you are interested in what other tools we are using, he's probably ready to give some answers. Yes, good. Okay, I'm concluding shortly, so I'll just give you one real life example. Wait a minute, this doesn't see. Yes, okay. This is what the actual picture that I was aiming for. We are looking here at two separate markets, and we are looking at bids over the period of 3 years. And well, what we see on the left side, you can see there's on the axis Y, there's density. On the axis X, there are bid differences. So those pillars that you can see, they are like concentrations of bids. They are concentrations of bids that are that have been given to the public purchaser in these various contests over the period of 3 years. And here, the interesting point is on the left side, exactly under the loop here. It's like the canyon that you can see in the picture. The thing is that here the cartel has operated in such a manner that they've decided on the winner beforehand, and at the same time the bidders have agreed that everybody else who is going to bid to the contest will give significantly higher prices. So thus, on the left side of the canyon or the gorge, you have the winners. Then there's like the gorge, the wasteland in between, where you only have very few bids, and then the huge concentration on the right side of the red line. That's like the cover bids. That are the bids that have been given in order to give the buyer an illusion of actual competition, where in reality there has been none. And when you compare this picture on the left side to the picture on the right side, there, for instance, just as a comparison, you can see on the right side, you don't have this kind of a pattern. There are like no huge peaks with a canyon or a gorge between them. So just as an example, this is something that we are able to do now that we have obtained a large set of data, and now that we have these methods that are being used. And we have been doing this for, well, 2-3 years by now. It took maybe 2 years to develop the whole thing and we get our hands on the data and so on. But already now I cannot give you exact numbers, but we have found this very useful. We have been doing both. We have been doing like this structural screening thing, plus especially once we get a tip-off that we think is worth our time and effort, then our economists can give support to the investigating team by looking at the data with the help of these screens. Thank you.
And then some questions to Antti or Aapo.
So I have one question here.
Yes, so Toni can start.
Toni from the Ministry of Finance. Thank you, Antti, for a very interesting presentation and the tools. I wanted to ask, when do you actually cross-check the data between different databases, and how do you cope with data protection issues, GDPR, etc.?
Well, that's a wide-ranging question. Aapo, I'm probably looking at you to answer this.
Aapo, tuutko tähän eteen vaikka?
Joo.
Niin he näkee tuolla.
Yes, so hi, my name is Aapo Aaltio and I'm an economist at the FCCA. So I will start by saying that the GDPR related question is probably outside the scope of our expertise, so we can't answer that. But I can say about the second or the first one, so we don't cross-check the data. That is, it's like matches other sources. We only have this one source where we get this bid data, and it's the Claudia database, and that is a database that is based on tendering platform software. So the reason why we use it is because a lot of the tenders are organized there, but we wouldn't have any data set to cross-check it, so we just trust it's accurate. Are there any other questions?
Actually, I have 1,000 questions.
Okay. Can you limit them to some?
So thank you very much. And also thank you for the previous slides, because I felt at home as a statistician.
Okay.
I mean, it's. I think we are going to discuss in more details if you are available. I think it's a kind of Copernicus revolution to, and in my experience, I think it's probably the most difficult thing to put together, say, quantitative and statistical tools with the expertise of the people who work on the field, who have been working on the field for a long time. First of all, for example, because the language is different, so it's quite difficult to, explain what density is and the statistical tests and stuff like this. So I was wondering if, there is like a sort of course or education program or something to explain in a more, say, clear way what these tools are. I don't know if I made myself clear, or it's simply just that you get the data, you analyze the data, and you say, okay, there is something cheesy here going on, so I don't know, grab a deeper look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So there isn't like any course, at least that I'm familiar with, in cartel screening, but there are a lot of methods that have been developed in the literature. So it's mostly economics-related literature, and some of them can be used in practice quite easily, and some of them are more like to academia, so they're too heavy to be used in practice. But then there is, of course, a lot of work that is developed in practice in the competition authorities. So academic research is very different from like this kind of initial screening that we are trying to conduct. But yeah, and I would say that in the hint-based setup, we can go more with like heavier screens that require more like work with the data, but there also we might use some more specific tools that are then like based on the information that we have. So yeah. But unfortunately, I would say that if you want to get more familiarized with this topic, there are some good like summarizing articles that are presenting many screens, and I can link them for you if you want to